today we're going to read Hats Off to Mr. Pockles by Sally Lloyd with pictures by David Litchfield. So we have Mr. Pockles here on the front. He's a dog and he's wearing a whole lot of hats. That's pretty fun. Oh, more hats. There's Mr. Pockles again. Let's read. For Mr. Pockles, going around without a hat was as unthinkable as going around without any pants on. And look at his hat. It has an amusement park on it. That's pretty fun. He had a hat for every occasion. An eating cornflakes hat, a having a little sit-down hat, a drinking cups of tea hat, an in the bathtub hat, a going to bed hat. His only sadness was that he couldn't wear all of them at once. There was one hat he never wore because it was too special and he was saving it for best. So he has a special hat in a special case. There's Mr. Pockles in his house. His house kind of looks like a hat too. Maybe it was because he was too busy with his hats to go out and meet people, or maybe it was because he was terribly shy. But whatever the reason, poor Mr. Pockles had no friends. Sometimes he was a little lonesome. But then he had only had to think of his millions of hats and pop one on. It's funny how wearing a hat cheers a personage up, said Mr. Pockles, until one morning when it didn't. So this morning his hats, they're not making him happy anymore. It was Hat Day at the Pandapolitan Club, and Mr. Pockles desperately wanted to go and show off all his hats. But only pandas were allowed. And pandas, as everyone knows, are very black and white. Either you are a panda or you are not. There's lots of pandas lined up to go into the Pandapolitan Club, and they're all wearing hats. So to cheer himself up, Mr. Pockles decided to go to Treat House instead to buy himself a bun. I shall wear my jaunty hat with a friendly feather, he said thoughtfully. To his delight, when he got there, Mr. Pockles found it was Bun of the Month Day. The buns this month were tasty-licious, fluffy fudge bonnets. And he was waiting in line for his bun of the month. Who should walk in but a panda? She comes. Wow, look at this panda. It is I, Lady Coco Fitztulip, she announced as she sailed to the front of the line. Lady Fitztulip was a fourth-generation San Francisco panda and very important, and even had streets named after her. She was wearing the most unusual hat Mr. Pockles had ever seen. Look at her hat, it has fruit on it. Mr. Pockles could not stop staring at it. I'm late for Hat Day at the Pandapolitan Club, she cried, waving an invitation around. I must start my spring in style. The shop went silent. Everyone felt depressed. They wanted to start their spring in style too, but they didn't have any hats and they weren't pandas. Meanwhile, certain baby bunnies, who'd been waiting in line a long time and were awfully hungry, mistook Lady Fitztulip's hat for the bun of the month and started eating it. Oh no, friends, they're eating her fruit hat. Before anyone realized they'd eaten the bananas, the grapes, they were halfway through the pineapple and had started on the chopsticks. Oh goodness. My ancestral hat! Lady Fitztulip screamed. Help! Help! It was too late. The ancestral hat fell to the floor, demolished. The baby bunnies leaped off the hat and vanished under their mother's skirt. The bunnies are in trouble. Whatever shall I do now? Lady Fitztulip wailed. It's Hat Day, and I don't have a single Oh, oh! She crumpled into a heap. Everyone rushed around. They picked up her bag. They set her down. Mr. Pockles even gave her his bun. Most kind, said Lady Fitztulip. Thank you, sir. You're most welcome, madam, said Mr. Pockles. My aunt made hats, you see, she explained through a mouthful of bun. Oh, how lovely, said Mr. Pockles. But they were all lost in the earthquake. Oh, how horrible, said Mr. Pockles. And now I don't have a single hat. And she began loud sobbing again. Everyone hung their heads. Mr. Pockles blinked. It was quite the most awful story he'd ever heard. What are they going to do? But then Mr. Pockles jumped up. It is I, Mr. Pockles, he announced. Lady Fitztulip, we haven't a moment to lose. Hold on to your hats, everyone. Oh, he has an idea. And even though they didn't have any hats to hold on to, there was nothing to do but follow Lady Fitztulip and Mr. Pockles all the way to Hat House. So there's Mr. Pockles' house that looks like a hat, and here are all the people, and they're going to Mr. Pockles' house. Wonder what they're going to do there. Mr. Pockles ran straight upstairs. Dear Lady Fitztulip, he said, opening a hat box. This is... Oh, what's he getting out? It was his special hat. It was so beautiful, it made all the air go out of the room. He put it on her head and showed it to her in a mirror. Oh, she gasped. Mr. Pockles! And before Mr. Pockles knew what was happening, Lady Fitztulip picked him up and hugged him. She turned to the door. We haven't a moment to lose. She dropped Mr. Pockles. Hold on to your hats, everyone! Where were they going? To the Pandapolitan Club, Lady Fitztulip cried. Everyone's eyes grew huge. Didn't I say friends of pandas are invited too? Friends? Said Mr. Pockles. Yes, of course! Mr. Pockles stood there, stunned, as Lady Fitztulip chose the perfect hat for him. The room filled with cheers. Mr. Pockles looked around and laughed. Your turn, everyone, he declared. Choose your hats, so he can share his hats with all his new friends. And they did. Even the sun put his hat on. And so it was that Lady Fitztulip got a beautiful new hat, and Mr. Pockles went to Hat Day with all his hats at once, but even better, with all of his new friends. They're all wearing hats, and they've all gone to Hat Day. Just before they entered the Pandapolitan Club, Lady Fitztulip turned, raised her hat, and cheered, "Hats off to Mr. Pockles!" And they're all throwing their hats into the air. And that is the end of Hats Off to Mr. Pockles. I thought that was an excellent book. Do you have a fancy hat that you like to wear sometimes? Mr. Pockles had lots of hats. Who did he share his hats with? His new friends. That's fun. So if you have a fancy hat already at home, you could put it on. But if you don't have one, you could always make a hat out of some interesting things you have around your house. So I have here a paper plate and a piece of paper that I folded in half. And I had an idea, what if I took this piece of paper and rolled it until it kind of makes a cylinder. Then I think I'll put some tape on it. And maybe I can make myself a fancy top hat. I like to take things I have around my house and make crafts with them. Because it's fun, gives me something to do, and then I have something fun to wear after I'm done. Or something new to play with. I really liked Mr. Pockles' hat that had the amusement park on it. That was pretty cool. It was so nice of him to help Miss Fitztulip. It's a fun name. So what if I tape that right there? More tape. of things around your house and make a fancy hat with them. Maybe you could have your own hat day, you know? It's a fun little activity. Let's see if my feathers will stick right there. All right, more we go. And there we go. Hats off to me. Hats off to Mr. Pockles. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.